The Last Prison, written by Richard Geiwitz. Exterior, Callisto Moon, day. Future. The setting is dusty and desert-like. G11, a green humanoid robot, runs its fingers over its head, takes a deep breath, and sighs. It gazes at the vast, gray, and barren wasteland.
Why am I here? Why is life the way it is?
A strong wind slowly lifts a cloud of dust. Dust swirls along the ground, gathering particles, finally rising into the sky with swelling power.
What is death? To no longer know this life? Has there been a life before, and will there be a next one? Do they all work together?
The wind dissipates, leaving behind dust particles which float down to the surface.
Why was I chosen to live this life? Why me? What is the point of it all?
Its head droops as it looks at the ground.
Why do I keep asking why? I need to find the answer or die trying.
Interior, Janus Corporate Headquarters, evening. A corporate executive gravity party is in full swing. Due to less than Earth-like gravity, the guests float just above the floor. Joshua, 50, imposing presence, gray hair combed straight back, with a smile that makes you smile, makes his way through the crowd. Joshua bounds onto a temporary stage in the corner of the room. In the middle of the stage is a white column with a button on top.
Everyone, please.
The crowd quiets and turns toward him.
Thank you all for coming. I hope Saturn isn't too far out of your way.
The crowd chuckles.
Apologies for the pedestrian outer space humor.
The crowd smiles.
May I first say thank you. Without your efforts, we would not be standing, floating here today.
The crowd chuckles.
Colonizing moons around Mars and Jupiter was difficult, but we've gotten good and Saturn will fall into place nicely. The Home Office is pleased.
Enthusiastic applause rolls through the room.
This gathering is to officially announce our presence here, as well as create an artificial gravity field for our comfort and so that we won't have to redesign all of our equipment. As always, the honor of pushing the button, which will bring us down to Earth,
The crowd chuckles.
goes to the person who has contributed heavily to the furtherance of the corporation on previous projects. In this case, her pioneering effort in robotics gives the honor to Lady Judith Farmer.
Judith smiles proudly, but humbly, her focused eyes straight ahead as she makes her way through the applauding crowd. She strides onto the temporary stage where Joshua greets her with both hands outstretched. They grip hands and she gives him a peck on the cheek. Judith looks out over the group and smiles confidently, like she's Queen of the Nile.
Thank you, Joshua, and everyone. Although I've been to many gravity parties, I've never had the honor of actually pushing the button. The one regret that I always have about this is that my weight immediately triples and I have to start thinking about my diet again.
Everyone chuckles at the obligatory space joke.
That aside, we can find great happiness in the fact that we're nearer to the end of our solar system. We have much to be proud of.
The crowd applauds again. She steps to the button.
So, with no further ado, hold on to your stomachs.
She presses the button and within seconds, everyone begins to feel the effect. A giggly buzz goes through the crowd. In a moment, everyone's feet plant firmly on the floor. Adults laugh like kids again.
We have officially arrived.
Applause turns to cheers as she steps off the platform and shakes hands with everyone who surges around her. Exterior, Callisto Wasteland, day. G11 dusts himself off and looks at the monogram on his shirt. It reads G11. G11 feels the material of his shirt and looks unhappy. He shakes his head, stands up, and walks down a hill. He looks at his wrist with its implanted timepiece and quickens his pace. As he crests a small hill, he stops and listens to the wild scrambling and shouting from the direction of a building. He ducks and runs to the top of the hill, drops to the ground, and peers over the ridge. He sees a group of yellow robots dragging away several green robots like himself. The greens are hopelessly outnumbered. G11 watches with a pained face. He turns away, unable to watch. But he looks back again, studying the yellows. They are grim and methodical. After a few more seconds, he sinks down below the crest of the hill. He stares at his feet. He peeks over the hill again. This time he sees his comrades packed tightly in a van being driven off. G11 sinks down again and then jumps up and dashes off. Interior, Janus Corporate HQ, evening. The ceremony now over, the crowd separates into smaller groups and relaxes. Judith crosses the room and rejoins her assistant, Reeve, 26, boyishly handsome and loyal, and Alain, her biographer, 35, talented and a bit condescending.
I hope I can impress the corporation as you do.
There's nothing to the ceremony part of this. The crowd is already stacked in your favor.
She studies Alain for a reaction.
This is your first.
Yes.
Alain studies the ritzy crowd.
And your thoughts?
Alain gives her a sly smile.
It's your thoughts that are important. Your home office hired me because I'm good at writing biographies, and because you're the best, and they wanted the best for you. But if you want my opinion, I rather liked it without the gravity.
Judith laughs.
Everyone says that their first time.
Joshua roars into their circle.
Well done, Judith.
Thank you. Have you met my entourage?
Joshua looks over at Alain and Reeve, casting his bigger-than-life grin.
No, I haven't.
Joshua, this is Reeve, my assistant, and this is Alain, my biographer.
Joshua shakes both of their hands with gusto. His laughing eyes turn to Alain.
You certainly have an interesting subject.
An icon, to say the least.
I'll be interested in reading it, since she's always been so quiet about her younger days. In fact, maybe you could give me a little preview of that part of her life.
Alain chuckles.
I'd rather sell you the chip when I'm finished. I'm not just an artist, I'm a business person too.
Joshua lets loose a hearty laugh and then straightens up. He turns to Judith.
So where to now, Judith?
Earth. The members of the board are going to meet and make a final decision on whether they want to tackle all of Jupiter's moons or go farther out.
I personally don't think that the other moons here will be cost effective.
I agree.
I think Uranus might be big.
Reeve may be deciding his first solo assignment.
Joshua smiles and respectfully nods.
Then we'll meet again.
Hope so.
Joshua holds his index finger straight up like a professor, making a key point in a lecture.
Don't ever forget, you're learning from the best. Listen and watch. You'll be an asset to the company.
Thank you.
Joshua turns and looks back at the rest of the party, then back to Judith.
I've got to mingle. Don't leave without seeing me.
Of course not.
Interior boarding room, night. Judith, Alain, and Reeve relax in her boarding room. It's a rather Spartan setup with barren off-white walls that have no corners, only curves with low ceilings. Alain sits at a table feverishly typing notes about the party. Reeve relaxes on a bed looking up at a wall-mounted screen with a news broadcast from Earth playing. Alain stops typing suddenly and looks up.
Would you say that was a typical gravity party?
Judith stops scanning her tablet.
Yes, as is typical of humans, it's more party than gravity.
Was there ever a time when the gravity failed to activate?
I saw a chairman of the board hit the button and nothing happened. Last time he accepted the honor.
The three chuckle.
Of course, the tech people who failed were looking for work in the next solar system.
Their laughter is cut short by two sharp beeps. Judith walks to a pile of clothes and picks up a communicator and answers.
Judith.
Judith listens for a moment and then looks at Alain and Reeve.
Earth? Pass it through.
Judith hits a button on a table. A video screen turns on. Rupert, 62, reliable, energetic, with an authoritative presence, appears. He looks troubled.
Judith, you look well. Parties always seem to bring you up.
It was fun, Rupert. Good to hear from you.
Rupert raises his eyebrows and squeezes his lips.
You may not think so after I tell you.
What?
Are you alone?
Reeve and Alain are here.
They'll be okay, I guess. There's been a bit of an eruption in the Haywood colony. Some of the Green Series robots may go on strike.
Strike? They're worker robots. How is that possible?
That's what we want to know. But we want to know it without our competition finding out and without our customers and investors finding out.
Judith turns away from the screen and glances toward Reeve and Alain. Both look back at her, confused. Judith turns back to the screen.
When did this start?
Don't know exactly, but a Red Series manager says it's been brewing for some time.
This is highly unusual, but Haywood is on her way back to Earth, so we'll stop by.
Rupert smiles warmly.
Thank you. Besides solving that problem, we'll know what we're doing if it happens anywhere else.
I'd like to know, just because it's my baby.
Shall we send help, military or otherwise?
Absolutely not. This may not be all that bad. And again, it might be worse. Let me take a look at it before we escalate.
Call us when you know anything.
I will.
The screen goes blank. Judith slumps into a chair and stares blankly at the wall. Alain and Reeve sit beside her, looking at her with concern and questions.
What was that about?
Give me a moment.
Alain and Reeve sit stiffly.
Okay, you've had your moment. What happened?
Judith chuckles at his enthusiasm. Exterior launch site, night. Their ship is ready for takeoff. Judith and Joshua speak nearby the craft.
I'd hoped you'd stay longer.
It's an emergency. You've been like a father to me.
Yes, father. It had to be a father.
Judith smiles warmly.
You can't tell me what the problem is?
Judith thinks about how she's going to word her remarks.
It's Haywood.
Mechanical?
I wish. The robots are acting irrationally.
Robots?
I gotta go. I'll call you when I know something.
Judith embraces Joshua. Joshua looks her in the eye almost analytically.
Maybe you gave them too much.
Judith starts to speak but holds back, looking a bit frightened. Judith backs away from him.
I've got to get going. Goodbye.
Judith turns and heads for the ship. Joshua watches her climb in.
Take care.
Interior spaceport, minutes later. Joshua moves to the observation deck and watches. He sees the ship lift off. Interior, spaceship, night. The ship eases out of the moon's gravitational field and into space. Reeve sets it in cruise control and relaxes. Judith, Reeve, and Alain unbuckle themselves. Judith leans forward in her seat and turns to the two.
I know you know about Haywood, but what about you?
Honestly, just a name.
Okay. And you'll get a little more information than they told you at corporate. Haywood Colony is on Jupiter's moon, Callisto. It's experimental because it's run by robots, exclusively by robots. There's no vegetation, nothing will grow there for anything less than a fortune. Even shipping food and water is expensive. No human needs, no cost. And the bots pay for themselves in no time.
So why such a secret?
Because nobody knew for sure that robots could do everything for themselves.
And it's not working?
It was.
Judith stops suddenly.
We've had problems elsewhere. What's the difference with Haywood?
Judith squeezes her lips and squints.
Well, I don't know. The robots put on a communications blackout and we haven't heard why.
Technical?
Satellites haven't detected any problems. Seems they don't want to talk to us.
They're robots.
Judith smiles.
Advanced robots. Very advanced. They can think, plan, and not just match solutions with problems already uploaded. They create new ideas for unexpected situations.
Sounds like they're more man than machine.
Structurally, they're machine. But mentally, they think and act like humans. That way, when we contact them, it's like any other human interaction.
Judith stops and smiles.
Funny, since they don't advance culturally, someday visitors will need to remember how we used to act in order to communicate with them.
Judith walks to a keyboard and strikes a few keys. A robot appears on the screen, humanoid, except it is completely green.
Amazing.
Alain shakes his head. Reeve looks at him and smiles.
That's why nobody talks about it.
They were my design and build. I checked on them 10 months ago and everything seemed fine. Exports were steady.
Reeve and Alain wait for Judith to say more. Judith leans back and looks at them for a moment.
Oxygen is low there. We'll have to use supplement packets.
Alain looks lost in thought.
This'll be interesting.
Interior spaceship, day. Judith and Alain relax, reading and watching their screens. Reeve pilots the ship.
Entering Callisto atmosphere. Haywood Colony airspace.
Judith hits a few keys. They see Callisto on the large screen. It's majestic. Judith's communicator buzzes. She answers.
Yes?
They're not granting us permission to land.
Judith hangs up in disgust. Interior communications room. Judith and Alain burst into the cockpit. Judith sits down in front of a very active computer and starts typing.
Communications have been cut off from the ground. Let's see what we can get.
The computer screen displays some code but is instantly blocked by a red screen. Judith continues typing and then waits and types some more. In a few moments, a yellow robot appears on the screen.
This is Y1160. Your request to land on Haywood is denied.
This is Judith Farmer. I'm with Western. Why can't we land?
Council orders.
Please connect me with the council.
That is impossible.
Judith shakes her head.
Then contact them. Tell them I'm here and would like to speak with them.
I do not have that access.
Judith leans back in her seat, looking angry but staying calm. She leans forward.
This is an emergency. We must land. If you don't clear us to land, I'll advise Western that you didn't even advise them of my presence.
Y1160 stood motionless for a moment.
Stand by, please.
The image dissolved to a logo of the Haywood colony, which reads, "Welcome to Haywood." Judith smiles and shakes her head.
That was odd.
Never seen that in a robot?
How could you ever know them all?
I didn't mean like that.
Judith looks a bit lost in thought for a moment.
He identified himself as Y1160. We never put a yellow series on Haywood.
Reeve and Alain stare at Judith in disbelief.
How's that possible?
Judith snaps back to attention.
We put 3 series on Haywood, red, blue, and green, not a yellow. I don't know what I was just speaking to.
The logo dissolves from the screen and Y1160 reappears.
Forgive the confusion, Mother Creator. Your pilot will be given clearance to land.
Thank you.
Haywood clear.
Judith hits a button and the screen darkens. She turns to Alain and Reeve. They look at her a little whimsically yet impressed. Judith smiles proudly.
Strap in.
Interior spaceship moments later. Judith and Alain settle into their landing seats.
Stand by to enter atmosphere.
A mild jolt shakes the ship. The engines growl slightly louder than usual.
Mother Creator?
Despite what you may think, I didn't program them to say that.
Alain smiles as he types notes into his pad. Exterior landing zone, day. The ship lands carefully on the ground. Interior spacecraft, day. Reeve enters the coach where Judith and Alain unstrap.
I know they can snap us in half, but are they more intelligent than us?
It's hard enough to figure what people are thinking about, but these things?
You wanted a story. You wanted to move up in corporate. This is how you do it. Put on your oxygen.
The door opens with a whooshing sound. The 3 slowly rise to their feet. They turn and look toward the open door. They see a dozen robots standing motionless, facing them. Judith takes a deep breath, straightens up, and heads for the door. Reeve and Alain follow.
They sure look like they're thinking.
The question is, what are they thinking?
Exterior landing zone continuous. Judith carefully walks down the ramp with Reeve and Alain behind. When she reaches the bottom, the robots bow in unison. Reeve and Alain look at each other, more relaxed. R14, a red series, steps forward to greet Judith.
Hello, Mother Creator. Do you remember me?
Of course. R14, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you. I see you are doing well too. I'm sorry for the confusion over your landing request.
I would like to speak with you about that.
Certainly. I will find a more private setting.
Let me introduce you to my associates, Reeve and Alain. This is R14.
It is good to meet you, sirs. Welcome to Haywood.
Thank you.
Good to meet you, too.
An 8-seat ground rover pulls up and stops nearby. A yellow gets out and opens the door for them.
This way.
I've been around bots, but these serious-looking ones make me uneasy.
I keep waiting for one of them to burst out laughing and saying the whole thing is a gag.
Alain chuckles.
These yellows.
In due time.
R14 extends its arm toward the rover.
Please.
Judith nods. She and Alain and Reeve climb inside. R14 speaks quietly to the yellow driver. G775, a green series technician, passes by, inspecting. It glances at Judith for a moment and then continues. Interior rover continuous. G775 drifts back to the door, not looking at Judith directly, while inspecting.
Mother Creator, be very careful.
Judith looks at G775. A yellow approaches, walks up behind the green inspector, and glares at it. The green sees the yellow and then looks at Judith again.
Be very careful to strap yourselves in.
The green looks at the yellow with a mix of satisfaction and contempt. It then checks the rest of the vehicle and moves on. The yellow returns to his guard post. Judith looks out at R14. It finishes its conversation with the yellow driver and climbs into the rover with the 3. The vehicle pulls away. Judith looks at R14.
Now, please tell me what's going on.
R14 glances toward Reeve and Alain.
Talking to me is talking to them.
R14 hesitates, but speaks.
To make it simple, we've had problems.
Like what?
Nothing you should consider to be your fault. It appears the Green Series, they feel they're being mistreated.
Judith thinks for a moment. Her eyes drop to the floor. for a moment while R14's eyes are fixed on her.
A robot feels mistreated, are they?
No,
Then why the problems?
the Greens have become a bit radical. They've taken too many liberties.
Like what?
R14 looks through the front window.
We're here.
Judith, Alain, and Reeve lean a little to look through the front window too.
What is that?
Administration building.
Where all decisions are made.
They see a powerfully built but boxy-looking building.
Perhaps we should finish this once we're inside.
As they approach the building, a large door opens. They pass a contingent of yellows standing in tactical positions, guarding the building. They don't even glance at the rover as it passes. Interior administration building continuous. The rover enters the garage area and stops to one side. The four exit the vehicle and head into the building. Interior administration building continuous. They enter a narrow hallway. R14's long, powerful strides make it difficult for the other three to keep up. They reach the elevator lobby. Yellows stand in each corner. R14 touches the call button. They enter the elevator. Judith turns to R14.
Who are the yellows?
They are the Guardians.
Where are they from?
R14 pauses.
We created them.
R14 watches her reaction carefully. Judith is speechless, but she maintains eye contact with R14.
You created them. Here.
Yes, Mother Creator.
Where did you get the technology to create them?
We created it.
Judith looks at the floor for a moment, thinking. A door opens. The group steps into a hallway. Not far away is a group of Reds standing shoulder to shoulder. Alain leans over to Reeve.
Are these guys smiling?
Sure, looks like it.
The robots bow to Judith. R1 steps forward.
Greetings, Mother Creator. Welcome.
Thank you, R1.
The boss.
Alain nods.
Do you remember us all?
Of course. You all look in excellent condition.
The group bows again at the compliment.
May I present my associates, Reeve, my assistant from Western, and Alain, who's writing my biography.
From all of us, welcome to both of you. Shall we go to the conference room?
Judith motions for the Reds to lead the way. She follows them.
Machines making machines? Getting creepier.
Keep that part under your hat for right now.
Alain grins nervously.
I don't know if you can upset these bots, but believe me, I'm not looking to.
Interior conference room continuous. Judith, Reeve, and Alain sit on one side of the table, while R1 and R5 sit opposite.
This situation can be easily handled. I hate to see your time and talents wasted here when they're needed elsewhere.
The colony is of utmost importance.
It's merely a matter of reorganizing priorities.
Judith exhales.
Let's get right to the point. Western sees this as a state of emergency, not a misunderstanding or reorganization. This is highly unusual for a mechanized community. What should I tell them back on Earth?
The Reds sat motionless as if waiting for someone else to speak. Finally, R1 moves.
As you wish. The Green series are making incredible demands. One's not in keeping with the policies you have ordered us to keep. They won't work until the demands are met. Therefore, mining operations have stopped. We are at an impasse.
Why didn't you contact the Home Office with this?
You designed us for independence. To involve outsiders would be admitting we are incapable of doing the job you designed us to do. We have no wish to disappoint the Mother Creator.
Judith pauses, deep in thought.
In the Yellow series?
We saw this problem coming. For the protection of the colony, we felt a police series was in order.
How did you build them?
The Blue series put them together from damaged greens.
We programmed them to keep order.
Judith looks at them, speechless.
We are robots, but we are Red Series. We will solve this on our own.
Don't think this too serious. They are Green series, after all, labor bots. We are designed to appeal to the importance of the incitements you programmed into them.
I understand your desire to solve this yourself, but what you do affects the whole corporation.
We understand, Mother Creator, but we can't replace the entire Green series. There will be a slight monetary loss now, but in the end, we will have a stronger workforce.
Judith's eyes scan the assembled Reds. She takes a deep breath and exhales.
What are they demanding?
R1 and R5 look at each other. R5 turns to Judith.
They want to run Haywood. We were designed for thinking and planning. They for labor. This is what you have programmed.
And you explained this to them.
Yes, but they are inflexible. They want to be in charge.
Would it help if I spoke with them?
It might. Of course, we would rather solve this ourselves. We want you to know that you made the right decision in programming us for the job.
Judith smiles nervously. Interior spaceship, night. Judith, Alain, and Reeve return to the craft. Reeve and Alain drop into seats and collapse. Judith stands at the doorway with R14.
Since we don't have facilities for humans, it's better you stay in the ship. You will be guarded around the clock since we don't know how the Greens will react if they know you are here.
Thank you.
R14 turns to leave, stops, and turns back to Judith with almost a smile.
It is very nice to have you here. I wish it was in a time of greater synchronicity.
I'm sure we'll have it again soon.
Goodbye.
R14 exits. Judith secures the door and turns to her fellows. She looks at them for several moments.
I didn't expect them to be so human.
What you're seeing here is the best ever made. So good that we've been afraid to tell people on Earth about them.
Felt like they knew more about us than we knew about them.
They're connected with the EarthComNet.
So they know what we do and imitate us?
I'd rather they imitate each other. Maybe we wouldn't be here right now.
And they're very proud.
I programmed them to care. I wasn't sure it would work. It's funny, I know they're machines, but they're like my children, and you don't want your children fighting.
She pauses and takes a deep breath.
It's been a long day.
Hope we have the happy dreams.
Good night, Mother Creator.
Judith smiles at the remark. They go to their sleeping pods. Judith glances outside onto the tarmac. Lighting is minimal. Yellows are scattered about in a tactical pattern.
Are they keeping bad guys out or us in?
Judith lies down in her pod and relaxes. Exterior, Mine 71, day. Judith, Reeve, and Alain climb out of a rover. They stretch as they look the mine over. Green miners move in and out. A truck hauls material. G11 approaches.
Thank you, Mother Creator. This is very kind of you to come and see us.
The least I can do.
Be careful. It is dangerous here despite what the Reds say.
Thank you.
We want to strike because the Reds are treating us like an obsolete series, and we are not.
You realize they are an administrative series.
They are different, but not better. We work these mines. We know the job, but our input is never considered.
Judith thinks for a moment.
If I can organize a weekly meeting with them, would it help?
That wouldn't change their attitude towards us. They also have exclusive rights to the best Blue series for expert repair work.
And separate housing.
Judith leans back and thinks.
We are the first series you created, and we are proud of that. We don't want to disappoint you, but we do not want to be mistreated.
I understand.
And they created the Yellow series fearing we would take over. They were nice to us when you were near, but some of us have been captured and dismantled.
They won't even let us utter our complaints.
Judith exhales, looking depressed.
We have expanded some of the mines enough that we could use more help, but they refuse to build more greens. Instead, they build yellows for themselves with minimum programming, so they only follow orders.
You should be the only one who decides such things, Mother Creator. We cannot tolerate this much longer.
Judith sits back and thinks. A loud crash is heard. The humans jump while the Greens casually turn and look. G404 runs out of the mine.
Partial collapse.
Anyone damaged?
Several. Call the Blues.
G18 dashes off.
I'm going in.
That is not advised, Mother Creator. Too dangerous.
I'll stay at the entrance.
We will go with you.
Wait here. Let's go.
Judith, Reeve, G6, and G11 head for the entrance. They arrive in time to see several Greens carried out. One has an arm severed. A second has both legs severed. Both lie nonchalantly on their stretchers. Other Greens follow them, holding their severed limbs.
Can they be repaired?
Joints are easy to hook up. but their internal mechanics may be damaged.
If so, what happens?
G6 stares at him for a moment.
They would be beyond repair and used for spare parts.
Reeve can't speak. 2 blues arrive and look over the damaged greens.
We've told the Reds those support beams are inadequate. They won't listen to us.
Judith turns. She sees the damaged greens being worked on. Other greens surround them for moral support. Interior Mine Supervisor Building, day. Judith stands face to face with R1, arms folded. Reeve and Alain stand back near the entrance.
These supports apparently have been a problem for some time.
Those beams rarely fail. And as you saw, damage was minimal.
Unless you're the bots who are damaged.
They are good workers, but not programmed to analyze and plan as we are. We know those supports are good. What we need to find out is if they were properly constructed.
They're telling me about separate housing, and you have the best of the Blue Series for repairs.
As workers, they spend most of their time in the mines. We require a more peaceful atmosphere to work in. As for the best of the blues, we require work on our brains, which is more complex than muscle and skeletal work.
Judith looks disbelieving.
Are the yellows as brutal as they say?
Yes. Remember, the greens are very physical, especially when they fight.
Judith takes a deep breath.
You realize you aren't authorized to create a new series.
We needed to keep order and did not have the manpower in our series to monitor problems.
You could have contacted us.
We did it to prove we could be everything you wanted us to be. Self-sufficient, profitable. Your bosses should be pleased.
Judith smiles slightly at the answer.
We also need the yellows to monitor the greens for those who try to change color.
Change colors.
Some did so, hoping to get into our facilities. They looked like us, but inside, they were Green Series. No mistaking that.
It seems to me you can solve these problems by communicating with them.
They're not programmed for negotiating.
If I could get a group of them together, would you at least try?
The Reds pause and glance at each other, waiting for someone else to speak. Judith, Reeve, and Alain wait. They glance at each other, staying as emotionless as the bots.
I guess we could, but I don't think it's necessary.
Judith leans forward with fire in her eyes.
I do. Although you were designed differently, you're supposed to work as a unit, which you are not doing now. Until you can solve that problem, I will consider Haywood in need of supervision.
R1 stares at her for a moment, motionless.
We will meet with them and attempt a solution because you feel strongly about it.
I do.
So be it.
Reeve and Alain breathe a sigh of relief. Interior ship, night. Judith sits on the edge of her bed, staring at the floor. Alain props up his head with his hand while sitting at a dining table. Reeve paces back and forth.
Can't you just adjust their programs?
Each is a separate unit to avoid anyone tampering with an entire series, thus controlling the entire colony.
Thinking on your own leads to independence.
It's a delicate balance between learning to think for yourself and learning to think alike.
You didn't program them to think alike?
It was unintentional. The greens were our first series. We got better at programming as we went along. We needed the blues next for repairs. The need for the red administrative series was only for outlands where humans couldn't be self-sufficient.
Who would have thought they'd get this creative?
We designed them to be like us.
Judith looks off, glassy-eyed.
What they do is what we do. It's like looking at yourself.
You designed them on what you knew. Mankind. They designed other bots on what they know. Bots. So where do you go from here?
Judith thinks for a moment, and then chuckles softly.
Do what humans do. Have the meeting and play it by ear.
You're the designer. You should be in absolute control.
The Reds are shrewder than you think, and I can't undo what I've already done, and I'm afraid they know it.
It's hopeless?
Hope they have our sense of working together. All for one and one for all.
Interior hall, day. Bots pack the assembly hall. Judith stands next to the wall near the stage with G6, talking. She occasionally glances around. Greens stand shoulder to shoulder with some blues mixed in. No reds can be seen. A steady rumble of conversation can be heard. Reeve and Alain stand near the door.
Red's not showing up is in complete defiance of you, Mother Creator.
Judith looks unhappy, but takes a deep breath.
No reason to keep everybody waiting.
G6 nods. The two climb steps to a temporary stage. On stage, they attach microphones to their blouses. The crowd falls silent.
Thank you all for coming. It appears the Reds aren't coming. Mother Creator can handle that later. But for us, it's a chance to speak with her directly. Who would like to start?
G945 stands.
We are an older model than the Red series, but they think because they are a thinking design that we are incapable of it. But we can think, only differently than they.
G945 sits. G2367 stands.
I too understand they are an advanced design, but they have no more insight into these operations than we. Thank you.
Interior hall a little later. G772 finishes addressing Judith.
Thank you.
A weary Judith nods and stands.
Thank you. I understand everything you're telling me, and I'll find out why they didn't come. Then I'll meet with your team leaders. Thank you for coming, and again, I'm sorry.
G416 shouts from the back.
Mother Creator, I know I tread on hallowed ground, but as we mine deeply, we change this moon geologically. Some of us are afraid it throws off our orbit and destroys us. If this becomes a threat, will you take us back to Earth?
Judith freezes in her tracks. She loosens up in a moment.
None of our impact studies show that happening, and if it did, it wouldn't be for a long time. We're also looking at other moons that can be mined, so there will always be work for you.
G416 nods.
Thank you, Mother Creator.
Interior ship, night. Judith paces as Alain and Reeve sit and watch.
The problem is they're right. There's no plan to take them back. We were going to just shut the colony down. There was no plans for them at all.
What now?
Judith stops in her tracks, then smirks.
Now that I see what I've just done, I'd like to just get the hell out of here.
Alain and Reeve chuckle.
If the company didn't have so much on the line, I'd fire up the engines right now.
That and the fact that the Reds would love to see you leave.
No, I won't give them the satisfaction. I built this place and I won't lose control of it.
Judith pauses. Anger builds.
First things first, I'm going to find out why they didn't come.
Interior robot construction center, night. Judith, Reeve, and Alain stroll through the center, watching blues construct yellows piece by piece.
Although you're not supposed to be doing this, I'm impressed.
We thought you might be happy.
I said I'm impressed, not happy.
When you left, we talked it over. It is our natural right to rule. You created us to do so.
Judith takes a deep breath, looking unhappy.
Doesn't it occur to you that if you're having this much trouble leading, you may be doing something wrong?
We have no problem leading. They have a problem following.
Judith smiles.
Your primary goal is to create a certain amount of output, and you're not doing it. That's not good leadership.
If they followed our instructions, we wouldn't have these problems. If respecting us is too hard a lesson, they will be dealt with by force.
Working together is a way of earning their respect. If they believe in you, they'll follow you.
Mother Creator, look around. They are not our equals. It would be counterproductive to lower the standards you program into us. We are robots. We follow your rules, rules that are not to be negotiated. They want to run a colony. Think of it. A green series wants to make decisions.
They do the actual work. They might have some ideas that won't deviate from the corporate plan.
They are workers, not thinkers. We think. We dream. We make the possible real.
I know what they're capable of, and they can provide valuable input, and I would like you to make it happen.
I'm afraid that is impossible.
Why?
With all due respect, we know our purpose. This is our colony, and unless you plan to stay and make decisions yourself, we will run it as we see fit. If we listen to them and they're wrong, it will still be our fault. If we fail, we would prefer the failure be our programming, not theirs.
Judith sits back and stares at them for a moment. She leans forward again.
As a representative of this company, I am ordering you to open up command of this colony.
The Reds sit motionless for several seconds. They turn and look at each other.
We do not wish to incur your wrath, but we respectfully refuse to on the grounds that providing export supersedes your orders.
Judith stares at R1 for an eternity and then storms out of the door. Reeve and Alain look at each other, eyes wide and eyebrows raised. They follow her out without speaking. Exterior, Robot Construction Center, continuous. Reeve and Alain burst outside. They look around. They see Judith standing next to the rover, staring at the ground. They head toward her. They open the rover's door. Judith gets in and they follow. Interior rover, continuous. The air is heavy. The three stare straight ahead as the rover moves.
Damn them. The Greens believe I still have power to control Haywood, but the Reds know I don't. What bothers me most is that they're so calm about it. I didn't program them to be smug.
What about an armed strike team?
Judith waves off the idea.
Very costly. Even after you take a colony back, you have to hold it. Even more expensive. That was the whole idea of the Red Series in the first place, to keep us from having to supervise the project.
Can you arm the Greens?
Judith shakes her head.
A civil war would destroy them all, then we'd have to replace them. It is tempting, though.
How about replacing the Reds?
It would have to be by force, and that would mean a loss of human life, let alone expensive. There goes any profit the corporation was hoping for.
Maybe some other superior bots that could take over.
You're looking at the best and brightest in the known universe.
Interior Robot Construction Center, continuous. R1, R5, and R14 stroll down the hall.
Does she know she can't stop us?
Humans have so many emotions, it's hard to read the key ones. We acted politely. What is the probability she thinks we still fear her?
Based on her great intellect, 5%. Add her human capacity for hope that we fear her, 17.5%.
Probability of getting rid of her without a fight?
85%.
Strategy?
Let her make the next move.
Interior ship, night. Judith focuses on a computer screen. She's in contact with Joshua, who looks worried.
I'd say we have a major problem.
If we're going to control this colony, we're going to need outside help.
Sounds like the Reds have things in hand despite this little dust-up.
Joshua, we can't let the colony implode because of this.
I understand your emotional ties to them, but we need raw material at a cheap rate. We need only take action if the Reds fail to meet quotas.
They look to me for help. They call me Mother Creator.
This is a business. They aren't human. Just get the operation going again.
I don't know if I can live with the Greens being treated this way.
You've done wonderful work there, Judith. But we have quotas to reach and investors to satisfy. Just get the operation moving again.
Joshua's screen goes black. Judith stares at the floor. Interior Operations Center, day. R1 and R14 stand inside the office area looking out over the banks of computer terminals and communications equipment.
And then we'll gather a contingent of yellows and force them to begin work on line 1123.
Sharp audio tones stop him in mid-sentence. He touches his communicator and a screen lights up. Y60's face appears.
We intercepted a scrambled transmission originating from Mother Creator's ship.
Where was it directed?
Earth.
Block all transmissions from that source.
Programming now.
Y60's screen darkens. R1 turns to R14.
Going outside for help was her next move. Probability the corporation will act?
With profits on the line, roughly 15%.
We positioned ourselves well.
Exterior Mine 110, soon after. A large group of Greens gather. G1, G6, and G18 join Judith, Reeve, and Alain near an impromptu stage on a large digging machine.
Everyone who is coming is here. Your words carry great weight, Mother Creator.
We are desperate.
A pained look crosses Judith's face.
There's only so much I can do.
If this is all we have to look forward to, then why are we here?
Judith nods. G1 heads up the 3 steps to the stage. Reeve looks at Judith. He tries to deliver an encouraging smile, but looks a bit pained.
You're the bravest person I ever known.
Judith smiles humbly.
You could have left any time, but you didn't. Not many people would care that much about a bunch of robots.
On stage, G1 looks over the crowd. A sea of green heads stretch far and wide. They focus on G1.
Fellows, these are troubled times. All robots used to be equals in the colony, but no more. The Reds now create inequality for their benefit. We resist, they threaten. We are at an impasse that will be resolved by Mother Creator, who has come to save us.
Applause and shouts rise out of the crowd.
And she wants to speak to you now.
Applause again rises as Judith climbs the steps. Judith steps to the microphone as G1 steps off the stage.
Friends,
Green faces look up at her silently.
my children, you were all created equal, each with your own mission, but working as a team. No job is too small, as it all leads to the final product. I know you feel overlooked and underappreciated, and that must stop.
Judith receives a solid round of applause.
I know the Reds are treating you unfairly.
Judith pauses, looking beyond the crowd. A phalanx of yellows marches toward them. The Greens turn and look. They see the yellows. The Greens panic. Some scatter in fright. Judith steps forward and waves her arms.
Stay together, everyone. Don't be afraid.
Judith looks panicked. The yellows close in.
Wait.
Judith stops when G1 jumps on stage, running to her.
Do something. Stop them before they hurt us.
We can't lose face now.
Then stop them.
Judith looks at G1, wide-eyed, and then toward the yellows. The yellows reach the back of the green crowd. Greens scatter. Reeve bounds onto the stage and grabs Judith. He looks at G1.
We'll fight this battle another day.
I can't leave them now.
G1 faces her directly.
Either stop them or leave.
Judith freezes. G1 grabs her and directs her off stage with Reeve pushing from behind. The three speed down the steps and toward a vehicle followed closely by G6, G18, and Alain. Reeve turns and looks at the crowd. Greens are now on the dead run. The yellows march through the middle of the crowd. Judith and company pile into a van. They flee. Interior vehicle continuous. Judith sits between two Greens. The vehicles lurch forward. Judith turns and looks through the rear window. She sees Greens running in all directions. Exterior, nearby hilltop continuous. R14 looks the scene over. Yellows push the Greens away. R14 turns and heads for a rover nearby. Exterior ship soon after. The van pulls up at the ship and stops. Judith, Reeve, Alain, G1, G6, and G18 step out and quickly head to the ship. Yellows in the area watch nonchalantly. Interior ship continuous. The six enter the ship. Alain seals the door tightly. They walk to the common area and sit quietly. Judith moves to the communicator and sits down. She stares at the blank screen for a moment and then begins typing. Reeve, Alain, and the Greens stroll over behind her and watch the screen. The screen comes on.
Calling for help.
Don't have a choice.
She clicks on a few icons, sits back, and waits.
What's the problem?
Alain looks up from his tablet.
I can't get a signal.
We're cut off.
Suddenly, the screen lights up. Y118 appears.
This is Central Communications. Your transmission capacity has been altered. You can only connect with communicators on Haywood.
Who gave this command?
R1.
Connect me with him, please.
R1 is not accepting communications at this time.
The screen goes black.
Nice talking to you.
Judith taps a key and her screen goes blank. She looks at the others.
They're gonna move on me.
Reeve raises both hands and walks away.
Well, we can be sure.
G1 glances at a security camera system.
They're coming.
Everyone looks at the screen.
There are many yellows.
About 20.
They can see the armed group approaching.
Secure the door.
Judith waves him off.
Don't bother. They'll get it anyway.
I fear they'll take you.
There's nothing we can do.
If they take you, what chance do we have?
Judith turns to G1 and smiles warmly.
If you can dig mines as well as you do, you can defend yourselves. You're probably better off without me.
They're almost here.
Let them take us. But you have to hide. You're the ones to lead this fight.
Reeve and Alain look at each other nervously.
And leave you?
Then do it for me. Protect my dream. Do it because this is your world too.
The Greens pause for a moment, glance at each other, and then back at Judith.
As you wish.
I do. Now go.
The Greens disappear in the engineering area. There's a knock on the door. Judith takes a deep breath. She hits a button that opens the door. Outside, R14, surrounded by yellows, looks directly at her.
With all due respect, Mother Creator, We have orders to collect you and your comrades. If you would come with us, please.
Judith looks at Reeve and Alain, who stare at her blankly. She heads for the door, followed by Reeve and Alain. Exterior tarmac, continuous. The three step onto the tarmac. Judith heads straight for R14.
Why are you holding us?
You incited a riot.
Does the council think this might be a bit dangerous?
They're willing to take the chance for the good of Haywood,
R14 extends its hand toward the transport.
if you will.
The three grit their teeth and head for the transport. As they approach, two yellows open the doors. Y202 approaches R14.
Sir, the contingent at the riot has requested a dozen blues respond.
Why a dozen?
An extensive amount of greens have been damaged. Can you authorize?
Granted.
Y202 nods and heads for a security vehicle and speeds off. Reeve and Alain climb into the transport. Judith stops at the door and turns to R14.
How bad is the damage?
I don't know. It's not a big problem anyway.
Judith focuses.
You don't seem too concerned.
Affirmative.
Judith glares at R14 with anger, but tries not to be too obvious.
No wonder you're having problems.
R14 looks directly into our eyes.
We are not having problems. They are. They think that they are our equals. And they are not. That is their problem. It is our duty to eliminate that problem. First, we must take you to the administration building. If you will.
Judith glares at him for a moment and then steps into the transport. The yellows close the doors and secure them. The transport pulls away. Interior administration cell, hour later. Judith and Reeve sit on a bench side by side in a jail cell, while Alain inspects the electronic shield, keeping them contained.
This is impressive technology.
We don't have anything like this on Earth.
There were no cells at all when we left. They're mimicking us in the wrong way.
Alain looks at her, stunned. He looks up. 25 feet above are two yellows looking down at them through a grate. Alain joins Judith and Reeve on the bench.
Why have a prison? Can't they just reprogram the troublemakers?
Do they understand punishment?
Judith shrugs again and smiles sardonically.
We didn't program punishment, so I don't know.
They won't dismantle us, will they?
We'll find out soon enough. Look.
She points up at the guard above. Alain looks up. R14 chats quietly with the warden, R50.
Down here.
Judith and Alain look down a hall in front of them. Two yellows walk toward them. They pass through the shield and walk to them.
Follow us.
Where are we going?
Follow us.
Reeve jumps up and stands toe-to-toe with Y200.
You need to start showing some respect to the one who created this colony.
We have no reason to be humble. She didn't create us. The Red Series did.
Reeve looks stunned. He glances at Judith. Judith follows the yellows. Reeve and Alain fall in line. Interior interrogation room minutes later. The room is barren except for chairs and a table. A yellow guard stands by. Judith, Reeve, and Alain sit on one side, while R1, R14, and R50 sit opposite.
Your inspiring words, Mother Creator, caused many greens to be damaged. This will not be good for production when they go back to work.
I repeat, it will be you who is called to answer for this.
Why do you persist in believing in a series so limited in abilities?
Because they have a place here. They work hard and they deserve to be respected for what they do.
If you told them to go back to work, this would all end peacefully.
That wouldn't solve the root problem, would it?
It would. They would know their place and ours on Haywood.
So if I ask you to let them determine their own destiny, will you listen to the Mother Creator?
The Reds pause for a moment.
You realize, I hope, that we could lose you on this moon. No one would ever find you.
Yes. But if no one hears from us, you can be assured more people will come with unlimited military power.
Why do you make it so difficult for us?
You make it difficult for yourselves. You need only share power. I didn't program you to be self-centered. This attitude can only doom Haywood.
You programmed us to lead, and so we shall.
Judith leans back in her seat and just looks at them. Exterior administration building night. R1 and R5 and R14 walk to their rovers in front of the building.
It comes down to 3 choices. We can eliminate her, we can release her, or we can banish her from this moon.
If we eliminate her, the Greens will never forget it, not to mention a retaliation from Earth. Then we will have failed as the management class.
The other Reds nod.
She has no power here any longer except one thing. The Greens believe in her. The only thing we have to fear is their belief.
So, we eliminate their belief?
Exactly.
We let her out. And when they see she is powerless, their faith is gone.
Affirmative.
What if she inspires a massive riot?
The Yellows will put it down, and the Greens will then know they have no hope. Release her and put the Yellows on alert.
All 3 nod in agreement. They enter their rovers. Interior Administration Cell, day. Judith, Reeve, and Alain are back in their cell.
If they decide to kill you, will they kill, Reeve and I?
Judith looks at him blankly.
We're all a threat, of course. Everything happening here is a surprise to me, so I can't be sure of anything.
It doesn't seem fair. I'm only a writer.
You've recorded everything that's happened here.
Look,
Reeve nods his head toward the hallway. 2 Yellows approach.
Come with us
Where are we going this time?
to the warden.
Judith nods her head, and the 3 follow the Yellows down the hall. Interior Administration Warden's office, minutes later. The 3 enter R50's office. R50 motions to 3 chairs, and they sit.
It is my unpleasant duty to advise you that you are being released.
The 3 look stunned. Jaws drop, but no one speaks. Judith closes her mouth, but looks at him suspiciously.
Why unpleasant?
An order I think is wrong is unpleasant to follow, but I follow it.
do we get the ship back?
You can stay there, but you cannot leave.
Reeve looks disappointed, but nods, accepting at least freedom.
May I have my tablet? No,
That's fine, we accept the arrangements.
of course. I expect to see you again soon.
Let's go before they change their minds.
Exterior Administration, minutes later. The front doors open. Judith, Reeve, and Alain stride quickly to freedom. They walk quietly a short distance away and stop. They smile.
Where to now?
To the ship for supplies.
Yes, I'm starving.
They turn, hearing footsteps. G18 approaches quickly.
I'm glad you're out.
So are we.
Why did they let you out?
I don't know, but we didn't complain.
Come with me, quickly.
G18 begins running toward the side of the administration building. The 3 follow him, struggling to keep up. They run behind an unused building. In front of them is a transport. They run to it. G18 slides open a side door. They don't break stride as they jump into it. G18 slides it shut, hops inside, and drives it away. Interior transport, continuous.
Can you take us to our ship?
Are you leaving?
They won't let us, we need supplies.
I'll take you there. Did you hear about the rally?
Heard there was a lot of damage.
Dozens of us were damaged. Everyone is afraid. We could use your help.
Judith looks down.
I'm working on that.
We're almost there.
G18 glances at the rear view mirror.
We're being followed.
The 3 turn and look behind. Another vehicle keeps pace.
Who is it?
Who else? It's all right, I want another chance at them.
The vehicle brakes. They look forward. A yellow flags them down. G18 brings the transport to a halt.
State your business.
Judith leans forward, looking unhappy.
We need to get into our ship.
It's off limits.
Who gave that order?
The Executive Council.
Judith sneers.
Let's go.
What about the food?
Let's go.
G18 backs the vehicle from the checkpoint.
Can you lose the vehicle behind us?
Yes.
Good, do it.
G18 speeds up and turns down a side road. The tailing vehicle struggles to keep up. G18 makes 2 quick turns and speeds up. They look behind. No vehicle is in sight.
Do you have a safe house nearby?
We are heading there now.
Let's see what they're trying to do. Take away our food and force us to move quickly, or die.
And we can't let them force us into that corner.
G18 turns a corner and crosses a lot and into a dimly lit building. Interior safe house continuous. The 3 look behind at the door they entered. 2 greens close the door, secure it, and walk toward them. The side door slides open, and the 3 hop out as G18 exits from the driver's door. They follow G18 through a door. Interior, empty room, continuous. They enter, stop, and look around. The room has communications equipment and spare robot parts scattered about.
You can stay here. Very few people know about this place.
What about food and water?
There might be some in storage. I will try.
I need to speak with G1 as well.
He is being notified that you are here.
Interior administration moments later. R1 scans computer terminals in his office. R14 enters.
The yellows lost her.
R1 turns around and looks at R14.
Did she get to the ship?
She tried and was turned away.
They will panic without food and water.
If she starves in their hands, better for us.
Double the guard on the ship. They cannot have that food. And keep everyone else on high alert.
Understood.
R14 turns and exits. Interior safe house, night. Judith struggles to get comfortable in an old chair. Reeve and Alain lie on the floor looking like corpses. All three look haggard. G6, G11, and G18 download information from computer screens while chatting with Judith.
Most greens are afraid of clashing with the yellows, but will follow you because they respect you so much.
They won't move without a word from you.
Judith takes a deep breath.
I can be a guide, but I can't just snap my fingers and make this problem go away.
Can you give us a sign?
Judith glances at the floor, depressed, and then back at the eager greens.
Why do you insist on thinking I can change things like that?
You created Haywood. Anything you created, you can change.
It took a lot of work to make all of you independent so that you wouldn't need me here.
The greens fall silent, staring straight ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound depressing.
No need to apologize.
I want this colony to work. It's yours now more than mine. You've exceeded my expectations.
The greens sit humbly without speaking.
I've already done everything I can do here. This is your colony now. It's up to you to make it work.
You are our spirit and our strength. We need you now.
A smile crosses Judith's face.
I'm not sure what I can do.
Reeve wakes up.
What we need now is food. I don't know how much longer we can hold out.
We've been trying to get to the ship, but security is tight.
They're forcing our hand.
Alain wakes up.
Can you get a group to attack the ship?
The yellows are better equipped than us.
Other than food and water, what do we do next?
Judith lights up.
Could we get all the greens to surround the administration building and hold it?
They have too many weapons.
Judith leans forward and right into his eyes.
With enough greens, we could overwhelm them, weapons and all.
The greens look at each other.
If it's all we have, then it's worth a try.
G6 and G18 nod. Exterior Main Street, night. Greens stand shoulder to shoulder in the main street. Judith stands on top of a low building, 10 feet above the ground. She looks a bit haggard, but focuses as she peruses the street below. Reeve, Alain, G6, and G11 stand behind her. Reeve and Alain walk up beside her.
I thought bonds were supposed to serve us, not the other way around.
It's like we're on trial.
Thanks.
G11 steps forward.
We shouldn't wait any longer.
Judith nods and steps to the edge of the roof. She looks over a sea of green faces. They look up at her with rapt attention.
You've been too nice for too long. You need to take what you want. We will go from here to the administration building and force them to include you in the decision making. We have the strength to do it. Remember, it's the green way of thinking to progress and change the future for the better.
Greens nod their heads. Judith looks down the street. She sees a large group of yellows march toward them with mechanical efficiency and in full riot gear. The heavy metal batons look as if they can shatter a robot with one swing. The greens see Judith looking down the street and turn in that direction. The greens look around for escape routes and get panicky.
There's not enough of them to stop you. Overwhelm them.
The greens get antsy.
Help us, Mother Creator!
Judith's face droops. She looks around, struggling to get words out.
You're programmed to dream, not them. Nothing will happen if you don't take a stand.
The greens don't hear Judith because they're focusing on the yellows. Yellows clash with the first line of greens who are battling furiously. Yellows whirl their batons deftly and strike greens at a horrific rate. Bot parts fly everywhere. Greens see it and run. Judith looks over the edge of the roof. She sees greens desperately trying to climb up to her. They fall off the wall, scramble to their feet, and run. Judith drops to their knees. Her head drops. Yellows power their way near Judith's position. G6 and G11 each grab Judith's arms and lift her up. She keeps her head down, unable to look them in the eyes.
We must go.
They're right.
Reeve looks lost. He follows Judith, but looks like he can barely move. Judith begins to cry. Reeve puts his hand on her back.
Relax. It's over.
Judith looks back. The greens are almost out of sight. The yellows continue methodically sweeping the street. G6 and G11 help her to the rear of the roof where they climb down a ladder to the ground below. Alain is last. He looks toward the front of the roof. Yellows throw grappling hooks over the front wall of the roof. Interior Administration Building, night. R1 studies information flowing over terminals. A single ping sound is heard. R1 touches a button. The office door opens. R14 enters. R1 strikes a button and the information stops.
By the look on your face, you have good news.
Mother Creator's rally ended before it could start.
How did the Greens react?
They know she is powerless.
R1 stands and looks outside. He turns back to R14.
Look up there.
R1 points at the landscape.
This colony is ours. No more distractions, no more power plays.
What do we do with her?
We don't want a martyr on our hands. The more they see how powerless she is, the less chance we have of another incident. I feel a little badly about it, but it had to be done to keep the colony operating properly.
I don't feel badly at all. She created us to run this colony. We're doing exactly as she programmed. Trying to change us means she failed, and we're failures. Good riddance.
I suppose you're right.
R5 appears at the door. R1 waves him in.
The Greens are going back to work.
Haywood is functioning again.
They are working slowly, but they are working.
Only thing that matters is how hard they work.
Well played, R1. The Mother Creator would be proud if she had not been involved.
Deep down, she's happy we can run this colony by ourselves.
You're both right.
Interior, Green Headquarters, night. In the hidden room, Judith, Reeve, Alain, and the Greens look dejected.
I can't believe our brothers are back at work. We could have won this.
They feel lost. They've given up.
You could still do something.
Well, I can't. I just can't. You were programmed to be self-sufficient. It took a long time to do, and it can't be changed with the snap of a finger.
Understood. But I'm not going to let this die.
What do you have in mind?
We get solids together and start some action.
I stand with you.
I too. What's the plan?
We can form a small group for guerrilla action, and then build from there.
G11 looks at Judith warmly.
You should know how much we revere you. We know our fate is in our hands. You've given us so much, and we refuse to be anything less than what you have programmed us to do.
Judith smiles at G11. She reaches out and holds his hand.
I'm glad you understand. I would have done something if I could. The Reds understand that self-sufficiency makes you strong. That's why they're on top. Now you understand that and can deal with them on their level.
G11 squeezes her hand gently.
We will make all Greens understand what you've given us.
G11 stands and looks at his fellows.
We've got a lot of work to do.
If there's anything I can do, let me know.
You've given us faith in ourselves. There's nothing more that we need.
Let's go.
The Greens dash out, closing the door behind them. Judith, Reeve, and Alain sit quietly for a moment, looking at each other. They're tired and hungry, and look it.
It took all of this to find out my limitations and them to find out their potential.
What a wonderful thing to say.
Judith looks surprised.
What's the matter?
He stares at her for a moment, then exhales loudly.
You're getting giddy about the progress of these machines while we slowly die. You may want to be a martyr, but I surely don't.
I don't need you to tell me what our situation is.
I'm going to eat and I'm going to live, even if I have to beg the Reds for it.
And go to them.
I will. Are you coming?
Reeve shakes his head.
Not without her.
Suit yourself.
Reeve stands and walks to Judith.
We're not a part of this anymore. No sense in dying.
Judith shrugs.
Our brains won't work without food, and we need to start thinking fast. Help me out.
Alain and Reeve each grab an arm. Judith climbs to her feet. Interior Administration Building, day. Judith, Alain, and Reeve sit at the conference table where they first sat down with the Reds after arriving. R1, R5, and R4 sit opposite them.
You look better now that you've eaten.
We're alive, at least.
I know we've had our disagreements, but the colony is back in full operation. You'll be able to file a positive report when you return.
I don't consider this issue resolved.
I'm afraid it is. We all know you're powerless. We knew for sure not long after you arrived. You were masterful in creating us, but we can recreate ourselves without you. More of the brilliance of your work, unbeknownst to you. We have no need of you anymore.
Also, unbeknownst to me, I created a capacity for big egos as well.
We are what you are. Could it be that you're afraid to see that? Are you helping the Greens to make up for your own inadequacies?
That's absurd. I made you complex so that you could do many things.
Please don't tell us that we were put here for our own good. We were put here to do your work for you. You say our ego has run away with us, but you're trying to overturn what you've done here because you can't face the fact that we're doing exactly what you do. You're the creator of all this, and you're afraid to look at yourself.
Judith glares at them, speechless.
As for you, you act like we're below you. Like a leech hanging on to someone else's glory, you write the biographies of others because you yourself have nothing to say.
R1 turns to Reeve.
And you enforce the company policies all over the solar system. Quantity, critical, workers be damned. You see us as tyrants, but we're only doing what you want us to do, which is why we are happy to offer you your releases.
The three humans look at R1 with great surprise.
Yes, we can be humane too. We will give you your ship back on one condition. You tell the company that all is well here, that we're doing just what you programmed us to do. That wouldn't be a lie, would it?
Maybe the best thing for everyone.
Then we all agree.
You're welcome to return at any time, Mother Creator, as long as you remember our designated roles.
And rest assured, your precious mining will continue as it would if you were here. We will do everything just as you would.
Judith looks at Reeve and Alain. They nod.
Very wise. It's the response we would have programmed you to give if we had created you.
R1 turns to R14.
Make the necessary arrangements.
R14 nods, rises, and heads for the door. Interior safe house, night. Judith stares blankly out of the window.
What did you tell corporate?
That we're up and running again? Not how or why. They didn't ask for care, I'm sure.
Western did want them to be independent. We just have to hope they don't stray too far.
Rather not talk about it.
I'm sorry for my outburst earlier. Perhaps it was a lack of food or the thought that we'd never get out of here.
Forgotten. This has been beyond what could have been expected.
Just want you to know I can count it on.
We know.
It'll all be better once we leave here.
And that'll be within a day, right?
Yes.
There's a loud knock on the door.
Enter.
G980 enters with a tray of food.
I heard this is your last meal on Haywood.
So it seems.
G980 places it on the table.
That should hold us until tomorrow.
G980 starts for the door but stops and turns to Judith.
Mother Creator, have you heard about the mine?
Judith looks surprised but recovers quickly.
What do you mean?
Some green insurgents overran a mine
Judith's eyes widen.
When?
about 2 hours ago. They took control and are holding it.
Judith's grin broadens.
I'll be damned. What have the Reds done?
Have not heard. Working around here, cannot ask.
If you hear any more, let me know.
I will. I must go before the yellows get suspicious.
G980 heads out of the door quickly without looking back.
I'm afraid they'll be crushed by the yellows.
This time, maybe not.
I hope this won't keep us from leaving.
They want us to go even more.
The three grab some food and dig in.
I'd like to see the looks on the Reds' faces right now. That is, if that could tell the difference.
Interior administration building continuous. R1, R5, and R14 sit in front of a bank of terminals. Other Reds stand behind them. They watch video of Greens moving in and out of a mine, while others build barricades.
What we know is 40 to 50 Greens have taken control of Mine 74. The few Yellows we have had there were overwhelmed. We order 200 Yellows to go there and retake it.
Do they have weapons?
Not that we know of.
How strong are our barricades?
We don't know yet.
The loss of one mine won't be a big problem. We could seal it and wait them out.
Problem is, word is spreading. If we let them take this one, they may think that they can take them all. We don't have enough Yellows to stop that.
Agreed. We need to stop them now. Even with Mother Creator being marginalized, we cannot let them believe they can succeed on their own.
On the other hand, even if we crush them now, others may be inspired.
Fear may not keep them in tow.
We need a plan to keep them from rising up again.
R1 looks at R14.
Suggestions?
R14 sits back, thinking.
They are beginning to believe that they can control their future since Mother Creator can't help them. The biggest problem is they might destroy themselves trying if there is no hope. Right now, they have none. And since we can't replace them all, we have to create hope for them. A hope that can never come to fruition.
Would you give that to us again in a more simple algorithm?
Other than themselves, who can give them hope?
The other Reds stare blankly at him.
The answer, Mother Creator.
The other Reds look miffed.
Are you saying let her go?
I'm saying, give her back the illusion of power.
She'll never agree to it.
She won't know what we're doing, but the Greens will think that they have control.
I do not understand.
We rid ourselves of Mother Creator, while making her bigger in death than in life. In the feeble minds of the Greens, and in our capable hands, she will become a greater reality than ever. So much so that they will submit to us happily.
Exterior Mine 74 day. A contingent of Yellows swarm the opening of the mine. They check out the area. Heavy equipment blocks the entrance. No Greens are in sight. Interior Mine 74, continuous. Deep in a dark tunnel, Greens surround G11 and G18.
A contingent of Yellows are stationed outside. Apparently, it's an assault team.
G11 glances at the opening 100 feet away.
We're well barricaded. The weapons we have are in the hands of those who know how to use them. I've never been in battle. Have you?
G11 looks around. All Greens shake their heads.
We'll all have to learn fast.
If for some reason we don't exist after this, it's been an honor to have stood with you in this cause.
I agree. If we end up dismantled, at least we held our heads high.
It's our natural right. Now we know it.
Everyone nods in agreement.
I'll need a volunteer for a reconnaissance mission. I want to find out how many there are and where best to strike, and strike first.
G6 steps forward.
As the humans would say, good luck.
G11 turns to leave, but looks back to G18.
No such thing as luck, only probability.
May your probabilities be high.
G11 turns and leaves with G6. Exterior Mine 74, minutes later. G6 and G11 slip out through a small exit. They look around. The area seems clear. They go down a hill and up the next. They climb carefully to the top and look over. A large group of Yellows stand to one side of the entrance.
Looks like they're standing down.
Look at that.
A large truck cruises toward the mine. There's a large cylindrical object in the back.
What is that?
Explosives. I've seen that type blow open the side of mountains.
They're just going to blow the whole thing up?
They know where to place it for maximum destruction.
We better warn them.
They head back to the secret exit, but stop dead. 10 Yellows face the exit, standing guard. G6 and G11 duck down.
They're doomed.
We can't stop this massacre, but we can tell everybody what we saw.
G11 nods. The two run from the scene. Exterior hills, minutes later. G6 and G11 stop and look back. The area in front of the mine seems quiet. They turn to run again, but an explosion shakes the ground under their feet. They stop and look back, heads bowed. Bits of dirt and sand rain down on them. They turn and run again. Interior ship, night. Judith, Alain, and Reeve check out their ship, preparing for takeoff.
All systems go.
Sooner the better.
How are you feeling?
Good. Feel like I've been here forever though.
Couldn't agree more.
Judith glances at a screen. She sees some Reds approaching.
Looks like we've got a going away party.
That's the last thing I wanted to hear you say.
Alain and Reeve look over her shoulder.
Who is it?
R1 and R14.
No yellows?
No yellows.
You may make it yet.
Reeve hits the door release. R1 and R14 step through the door as it opens.
I'm glad someone's happy around here.
You have heard of the mine takeover?
Yes, and I'm guessing by your smile that it wasn't successful.
Yes, you can. In fact, I should tell you that it was a major victory for the colony.
Judith exhales.
All is not lost, though. The Greens are back at work, and thanks to you, they are happy and have hope.
Thanks to me.
Yes, the Greens now believe that when the Yellows destroyed Mine 74, that the Mother Creator swept in and destroyed them all with a sudden and powerful stroke. Afterwards, she went to her ship, vowing to return and destroy all the Reds.
Excuse me?
Brilliant, isn't it? You programmed R14 to be the most clever of us all. You outdid yourself with him.
We made the mistake of forcing you out because they started to believe in themselves. They were taking matters into their own hands. No way to control that behavior. I feel if they believe in something that can't help them, then they'll stop being self-reliant, believing that you'll come back to help them.
Who says I won't come back?
It's a risk we'll take. Corporate will be happy as long as production is high. And if you come back and can't help them, they'll tear you apart.
Reeve shook his head.
Unbelievable.
Thank you. We're rather proud of it.
And it solves our problem,
I promise you, if there's any way.
but you will not, because you can't.
Judith stares at them but doesn't speak.
You should be proud of us. You have made us truly independent.
Judith glares at them. The bots stand and head for the door.
We wish you a good flight home. May it go quickly.
Speak well of us at corporate.
The two exit the ship without looking back. Reeve locks down the door.
Can you believe that?
Unfortunately, yes.
It will kill you if you return.
Judith's face lights up.
If they kill me, the Greens will go back to being self-sufficient.
You're willing to die for machines?
If you'd created them all, you'd understand.
I'm only a writer, but bottom line, as long as corporate gets its raw material, computer programs clashing shouldn't be a problem.
Perhaps.
Interior ship, day. Reeve and Judith methodically go through takeoff procedures.
Tower, this is Corporate 23, ready for takeoff.
Corporate 23, you are clear for takeoff.
Thank you, Tower. Stand by.
Judith looks at a terminal. The camera scans the landscape. Judith sighs.
Ready?
Judith smiles and nods. Interior tower continuous. R1 and R14 look out of the tower window. The ship engines kick in. Moments later, the ship lifts off. The ship climbs into the sky. R1 turns to R14 and nods. R14 nods to a red behind the control panel. The red nods back and keyboards. R1 and R14 look up at the sky again. The ship erupts into a fireball. A minor thunderclap is heard. They see smoke trails follow the ship as it descends to the surface.
Now all hope is lost.
R1 nods and smiles.
I will contact corporate and explain that there's been a terrible accident with Mother Creator's ship. I will also laud her efforts in solving our labor issues here.
They will be happy that exports are back up to plan.
Interior administration building a week later. The top Reds meet in their council chambers. R15 stands in front of a large screen with graphs and numbers.
And mining operations are back to normal. The mood of the Greens is actually upbeat and positive.
From the intelligence standpoint, is that mood genuine?
It's hard to calculate, but they believe the Mother Creator will return. They sing songs about it.
Again, my congratulations on a brilliant plan.
Thank you, but there seems to be an oddity. I've gotten reports that a Green has been talking about another insurrection. It seems it doesn't believe she will return.
Is that possible?
It claims to have been at the mine when it was blown up.
I thought they were all destroyed.
It seems to know all the details.
Are the yellows talking to them?
We scanned all the transmissions and found nothing.
Then what?
Then it must have been there. Maybe it was outside by the accident. The yellows might have just missed him.
Will this one cause major problems?
Not too many believe it right now.
Pick it up and dismantle it. No reason to take the risk.
We have a collection squad looking for it discreetly. No reason to make it look more important than it is.
Do not stop until you get it.
Of course.
Interior Mine 44, day. 20 green miners listen intently. G11 and G18 stand on crates overlooking the group.
And we were there. We saw it all. The Mother Creator never came. The Reds are lying.
G873 raises a hand.
Then why are they so afraid of her?
They are not. It's a show.
G873 shakes his head.
They never back down to anything. I think you're wrong.
G11's shoulders sink. G460 steps forward.
I know your type. You think if we get behind you, you'll be as important as a Red.
We don't care about being important. We want you to know the truth, so you can decide what needs to be done. We're on our own. Mother Creator will never come back.
The greens look at each other. G873 waves his hand at G11.
You're just a disbeliever.
Do you think we would put ourselves in jeopardy to look important?
Some of the greens turn to leave.
Listen to us. They lied to control you. This is about our future.
G2305 turns and walks away.
Even if they are lying, what could we do?
Fight them, and keep fighting, until we win.
As the miners leave, G1894 approaches.
I believe you. If she was coming back, she would have told us, not the Reds. I don't believe in her.
G11 sits down on the box. It looks directly into G1894's eyes. G18 follows suit.
It's good to know that somebody sees through the lies.
G18 smiles at both. It turns to his left.
Look,
They see G1611 talking to two yellows. The miner looks at them.
That's the one who's been speaking against Mother Creator.
G11 and G18 bolt toward the back of the mine. The yellows chase after them. G11 and G18 dart into a side tunnel and step to one side, out of sight. They look back at the main tunnel. The yellows sprint by. G18 looks at G11.
now what?
Don't know. But we don't give up. Mother Creator wants us to be independent, and we will be, no matter how long it takes.
You'd think they'd believe us. We saw it with our own eyes.
They're afraid to believe in themselves.
G11 waves to G18 to follow.
Let's go to the next mine, and the next, and the next, as many as it takes.
They creep along the edge of the tunnel, cautiously looking back. They head for an exit. The end.